Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria. Welcome to today's video. For those of you who don't know me, I have a Master's of Science in Human Nutrition and I specialize in helping you to build a high functioning metabolism while eating as much as you want of high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan foods. Recently, I have been suggesting eating more fruits and vegetables for their nutrition and also cleansing properties per the scientific method of eating your way to health, the Mucusless diet healing system. So today I'm going to be reading lesson 3, the diagnosis. And so right now in this book, and this is like our little reading club here, book club, for the Mucusless diet healing system, we are learning how the human body functions, okay, from a different perspective than what is taught via biology classes, anatomy classes, physiology classes. It is really important to learn from both perspectives in order to have a broader understanding of what's going on. So from my schooling, I learned how the human body works from a cellular standpoint, but the Mucusless diet healing system really goes over how the human body works from a mechanical standpoint. So let's get into lesson 3, the diagnosis. Why the diagnosis? Laymen and even some dietetic experts, with the exception of myself, believe there is no need for diagnosis. You may ask, since there's only one disease, why the diagnosis? If all sickness is due to uncleanliness from uneliminated and undigested food, mucus, uric acid, toxemias, drugs, etc., why diagnose? We shall now learn why fruit diet and fasting have produced such doubtful results through their incorrect use and misunderstanding, caused through the belief that general rules of this cure are suitable for everybody and for every case. Nothing is further from the truth. No other cure requires so much individual specialization and continual changing to meet the reaction of the patient. This is why people who attempt these methods of cure without expert knowledge or advice frequently bring about serious results. So just a comment on that section there. When I work with people and what I have done for myself in terms of getting the results that I desired, which was to be able to maintain a effortlessly slim, lean body, eat as much as I want, achieve an optimal level of health, support an ever-increasing level of fitness. I have worked this system, but in a very safe way, and that's why I promote a high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan diet, and I help coach people on just eating a healthier diet in general, because more oftentimes than not, people will go into fasting and they'll go into fruit exclusive eating, and in both instances they end up under eating. Too much waste gets removed from the system and the body cannot deal with it, okay? So they get sick, they have a crisis, you know, some people end up in the ER and need to have IV fluids in order to flush the system and neutralize and dilute the waste that inevitably gets excreted when we fast and when we start eating exclusively fruit. So it's really important to focus more on the nutrition aspect of supporting your body's natural healing and regeneration process. And that means that you're eating sufficient calories every day from carbohydrates in particular, because they provide the glucose that gives our body the energy that it needs the fuel that it needs in order to support its own energy production, that will keep things running smoothly, as well as focusing on the nutritive aspects of your diet. So hitting all of your micronutrients, because as I've talked about in my previous videos, micronutrients serve two major purposes: to support your body's regeneration function, as well as to support detoxification and the neutralization of waste materials that inevitably get excreted during the overnight fast, and basically any time that we're not eating and our pump system is starting to draw that waste out of storage and back into the circulation, and inevitably through, our filters, our lungs, our kidneys, our liver, and our bowels for excretion. So it's really important to not dive into a fast, not dive right into a fruit diet. You want to progressively transition yourself safely into a diet that, one, you can sustain, and two, that supports this natural healing process, so that you can just go about your life every day, eating, living, feeling good, right? Because we don't want to push our bodies to a point where it can't function. And that's why I am against fasting. And the next section is going to talk about fasting. And also against under eating, because you're going to draw this waste into your system when you under eat, and you need to know how to navigate it, okay? Also, under eating, it slows the metabolism down, in part due to the waste that gets accumulated in the system. You want to be eating a diet that allows you to neutralize the waste, eliminate the waste safely, and at the same time be regenerating your body, okay? So we do that with high carb, low fat, plant-based vegan diet with a heavy emphasis on fruit and vegetable consumption. Raw till 4 diet is ultimately the, prize transition diet. It's going to get you to a level of health that you're going to really enjoy. It's going to promote weight loss, and it's going to be pretty effortlessly sustainable. And then from there, you can move into a fruit diet. Like I'm currently on just fruits and green leaf vegetables, both cooked and raw, which is like a mucusless diet. And I'm able to, make sufficient breast milk, exercise daily. I have no cravings. I'm eating enough calories. I'm eating according to my appetite. I'm as productive as I can be. Everything's working really well, and that's because I'm not pushing my body to a place where that's uncomfortable, that is painful when it comes to, the waste removal that just happens daily and naturally. I'm eating sufficient amounts to stay energized, to stay healthy, and to make the natural elimination process go smoothly. Okay, promiscuous fasting. McFadden and many others advise, for instance, fasting as applicable to all cases. I learned through thousands of cases during my experience that nothing requires more individual, different application than fasting and the Mucusless diet. Of 2 patients, one may affect a complete recovery after a fast of 2 or 3 weeks, while the other may die from the same treatment. That is why an individual diagnosis of general conditions and constitutional encumbrances is so necessary. So like I said, I don't promote fasting. I help you get on a sustainable, healthy diet that is going to safely transition your body into a healthier place, just by supporting the natural elimination function and supporting your health being at a very, continuing to increase as your body gets the necessary elements it needs in order to regenerate. Method of constitutional diagnosis. My diagnosis determines the following points. 1, the relative amount of encumbrance in the system. 2, the predominant part, that is, whether more mucus or more poisons. 3, if pus is present in the system, amount and kinds of drugs used. 4, if internal tissue or an organ is in process of decomposition. 5, how far vitality is lowered. You will also learn through experience and observations along these lines that the general appearance, especially the face of the patient, will indicate more or less the internal conditions. So you'll notice that if somebody sounds congested, that's an indication that, you know, you've got too much mucus buildup in the facial cavities. And as that starts to remove, you actually can breathe better and you take up more oxygen. Other things too, when your face is really gaunt looking, bags under the eyes, you know, stress face basically, you're under eating and you don't have enough glucose and nutrients to buffer the waste that is being excreted into the system, i.e., you know, mucus, toxins, acids, things like that. So those are just things to keep in mind. And then obviously when somebody is carrying a lot of extra weight, the face looks a lot fuller, sometimes maybe even inflamed due to congestion of the blood vessels and the surrounding areas. So what else, what, you know, that he's talking about here in diagnosis, inflammation. If you've got pain and inflammation in your body, that's going to give you an idea of kind of what's going on. Maybe you're dealing with some other like serious health conditions. Those are going to, you know, obviously tell you where your weakness is at. So generally, you know, depending on, well, the functioning of your body and kind of what you end up being predisposed to in terms of, like, I'll call it mucus congestion here, is going to depend on your genetics as well as what you've been exposed to over your lifetime and what you've been eating. Okay. And also your ability to eliminate. So some people can eliminate better than others. Generally, if you have more muscle in your body, you're going to be better at eliminating because muscle is contractile tissue, so it helps to pump the lymph and pump waste out of the system better than, you know, somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of muscle. And then cardio endurance athletes or people who do a lot of running or like lymph pumping on a rebounder, things like that, you're going to be better at eliminating waste as well, just due to the practice of, you know, lymph pumping exercise. Okay, waste pumping exercise, pumping that waste out of the system. Medical diagnosis. Medical diagnosis throws no real light on the subject, although doctors think it more important than the actual cure. It is made up of a series of reports and symptoms and a scheme of experiences from which thousands of diseases are named. Characteristic of the meaningless medical diagnosis is the frequent statement of many patients that the doctor could not find out what I have. The name of the disease does not concern us at all. A man with gout, one with indigestion, or one with Bright's disease may start with the same advice, whether to fast, for instance, and how long does not depend upon the name of the disease, but upon the patient's condition and how far vitality is lowered. So again, what I suggest is getting on a healthier diet. So starting to transition your diet to support your body's own healing and eliminating abilities. It's anyone can fast, right? But it's more about being able to control what you're putting into your mouth and using the food to support the health and well-being of your body, and you know, using the food to support healing and eliminating. What I will say to being someone who was considering a profession in the medical system, That is what all of my education was geared for. I was originally going to go to physician assistant school, and I changed my mind last minute and decided to pursue a degree in nutrition for my master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in biology. And being on both sides of the equation, so I did a lot of shadowing as a prerequisite for PA school, and then I also have been a patient of the medical system. I've had all three of my babies in the medical system. I've needed stitches, and then I also take my children to see, a PCP to just for yearly physicals and other things that may come up. They are trained in pharmaceuticals for the most part, or OTC medication, but they really don't have a clue what's going on. So when you go in, really you have to be your own advocate for your condition if you want to get help, the right kind of help for it, because otherwise you go in, I say, I have this pain in my side and it won't go away and it's been there for this long. Like, the experiment begins, okay? So because they don't know, and they gotta try to use all of their diagnostic measures to figure it out. And this method is saying, hey, you don't need to, if you don't want to go that route, just eat a healthier diet and you're going to help your body out, in the best way possible. And the stricter you can get with, what you're putting into your mouth, the better the odds of supporting your body's own natural healing and eliminating abilities. Okay, naturopathic concepts. Naturopathy is an advance over medicine in teaching that all disease is constitutional. Naturopathy does not explain sufficiently the source, nature, and composition of foreign matters as the fundamental oneness of all disease. Dr. Lehman said every disease is caused by carbonic acid and gas, but he did not learn its source in decayed, uneliminated food substances, the mucus in a state of continuous fermentation. So this is suggesting that, so much that we deal with is due to what we eat. Dr. Yeager said disease is a stench. Nature gives a diagnosis through bad odor, which indicates how far the inside decomposition has progressed. I've noticed that my own body odor has improved, and it smells very sweet now that I'm eating, just fruits and green leaf vegetables. Dr. Hay of England, the founder of the anti-uric acid diet, bases his conception of general diagnosis on the assumption that the majority of diseases are caused through uric acid, certainly an important part of diseased matter beside mucus. And in most cases, uric acid is going to be accumulating in the system from animal protein consumption. Naturopathy lays considerable stress and importance on symptomatical diagnosis in spite of the acknowledgement that there is only one disease. Dis-ease, get it? Uric diagnosis. Medical doctors and many others consider this special kind of diagnosis as the most important one, but it is fundamentally misunderstood. Beside the digestive tract, the uric canal is the main avenue of elimination. So we're talking about the kidney, the renal system, and the kidneys. The kidneys filter our blood. So when we are urinating out the waste from our blood circulation. As soon as anyone decreases his eating, fasts a little, or changes over to the natural diet, he has waste, mucus, poisons, uric acid, phosphates, etc. in this urine, and an analysis of his urine is alarming. This likewise happens in the majority of cases whenever anyone becomes sick. Everyone becomes alarmed at this effort of the body to eliminate waste, which is in truth the healing, cleansing process. Should sugar or albumin be found in the urine, the case is called very serious and diagnosed diabetes or Bright's disease, respectively. Under medical treatment, the patient in the first named case dies through sugar starvation caused through a lack of sugar and sugar formers in the dietary. So Arnold Ehret already understood that diabetes was not a disease caused by sugar. It was a disease caused by the consumption of too much fat and too much protein. But just by decreasing those, increasing sugar, particularly from fruit, you are able to control your blood sugar, regulate it better, and get rid of diabetes. In the latter diagnosis, so now we're talking about Bright's disease. In the latter diagnosis, the patient dies from forced albumin replacement. Forced protein replacement is what albumin is. Albumin is protein, resulting from overfeeding of foods rich in albumin or protein. Whatever the body expels is waste, decayed, dead, and simply indicates that the patient is in an advanced state of inside uncleanliness, already causing a decomposition of inside organs, producing rapid decay of all food taken into the body. These cases, like tuberculosis, must be treated very carefully and very slowly. How it looks in the human colon. It is of utmost importance that through our diagnosis we must learn as much as possible the general appearance of the inside of the human body. Our diagnosis, therefore, consists of finding out the degree of quantities of individual waste matter of the patient. Experts in autopsy state they have found that from 60 to 70% of the colons examined have foreign matters such as worms and decades-old feces stones. The inside walls of the over-intestines are encrusted by old hardened feces and resemble in appearance the inside of a filthy stovepipe. I had fat patients that eliminated from the body as much as 50 to 60 pounds of weight, and 10 to 15 pounds alone from the colon, mainly consisting of foreign matters, especially old hardened feces. The average so-called healthy man of today carries continually with him since childhood several pounds of never eliminated feces. One good stool a day means nothing. A fat and sick man is in fact a living cesspool. A distinct surprise to me was that a number of my patients in such condition had already taken so-called nature cures. Okay, so how does this apply to what I have been promoting on this channel? Basically, we're just going through what causes disease in the human body. So then, once we understand the cause, then we can create the system for its eradication. And by eradicating disease, we naturally regenerate the human body. So because we are always breathing, that oxygen is driving the system to stay clean and to encourage waste removal through this vacuum system that gets created in the body. So waste is constantly being removed. And as we change our diet to a health promoting diet, one that is sufficient in fruits and vegetables, carbohydrates from the fruits and vegetables, fiber from the fruits and vegetables, micronutrients from the fruits and vegetables, we are naturally supporting our body's ability to get rid of this waste while making it safe. Okay, so we don't need to do any kind of fasting other than the overnight fast, and just practicing not eating when you are not hungry, which is a general appetite regulating method of going about being intuitive with your body and its signaling. So basically, when we get hungry, that is a sign that there's too much waste that's being eliminated. Now we need to neutralize it through the food that we're going to take in. It's also a sign that we need to eat in order to give our body more glucose, right? So in that regard, you become very attuned to your body, what it needs, where it's at, in terms of your health, so that you can continue to move in the direction that you want. Now, I emphasize too that waste removal, okay, weight removal, weight loss is simply waste removal. Okay, so we're getting rid of all that no longer serves us so that we can be healthy. We're not losing weight at the expense of our metabolism, at the expense of our bone matter, at the expense of our muscle tissue, because that is what happens when we lose weight the wrong way. When we lose weight by not eating, when we lose weight by taking Ozempic, when we lose weight by taking other stimulants that decrease our natural appetite. Because what happens is our body's still going to want to get rid of this waste, particularly if we're under eating and we're calorie restricting, right? But it damages the system as it's being removed, which is why oftentimes than not, under eating makes you look older. It ages you because you don't have the buffer of the nutritious food that you need in order to combat that dangerous, waste removal. And then, there's going to be a rebound effect from that as a buffering mechanism. So you undereat, or you're doing all this fasting, you're taking, weight loss drugs, whatever. Eventually you hit a wall and you're like, I'm really, really hungry. And that's your that's your leptin saying, hey, there's way too much system interference here. We need to neutralize this waste that's in the system, and you get hit with this massive amount of hunger, and then you balloon up, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I have, because this was me, right? I went from low carb eating to fasting and mucusless diet, but I was way too focused on the fasting, and my system hadn't had enough nutrients or glucose to repair itself initially. So I eventually hit a wall and I needed to eat myself out of it. I needed to dilute the toxins. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the picture of like the heavy person with like the toxins floating around their system, but it's being buffered, and then the skinny person with like all this toxic waste concentrated in their system because they've lost weight at the expense of their metabolism and health, and then you have the skinny person with the smaller amounts of diluted toxins again in their system because they are eating in order to support the waste removal. Okay, so that is what I have been doing the last 10 years. Is I ate myself out of a very toxic situation, and I gained about 60 pounds. And then from there, when my body was renourishing and neutralizing and supporting detox, my body slowly started to release the weight that it was holding on to in a safer way. And now, because I've been on raw till 4 as like my main diet for so long, I now have been able to transition to fruits and greens, and I'm able to sustain it very comfortably. So my ability to cleanse is ramped up, but because I'm eating sufficient calories, getting in sufficient nutrients, taking in sufficient fiber, having regular bowel movements, staying hydrated, everything's super comfortable. And it's but the process of regeneration and detoxification is a bit ramped up. So anyways, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. This is a really fun topic for me to talk about. I feel like, we are scratching the surface of like questions that people have had for a really long time in regards to like how do we really achieve optimal health, and weight loss, waist loss is the key, is the side effect of that too. And then you don't need to lose, your body ends up balancing out weight wise, so you're going to have glycogen storage, you're going to have hydration storage, you're going to look healthy, not emaciated, not washed out, not looking like you've sacrificed your, weight loss at the expense of your health. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Give it a like if you're enjoying this content, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.